Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Pichael with League of Items. I don't have the Esports Center highlights for you today. I've been pretty busy, but what I do have are the results from yesterday, and we can talk about the implications of those, and then I'll give you some thoughts about the games for tomorrow, and we can go from there. Uh, So let's start in the LPL. That's not right. All right, so first up we had Sunning against Dominus, and we had FPX against E-Star. These games today in China and Korea, they all seemed like gigantic blowouts to me, and they also were very interesting because there were a lot of underdogs who gave up a lot of DraftKings points like just throughout the season. So I had a bunch of different combinations. I didn't have the right combination though tonight, which is one of the frustrating things about DraftKings when you can like kind of get all the games right and then still not win. I think Damwon Gaming was the highest scoring team on the slate. Showmaker had a really good day. Rascal had a really good day. But let's just get back into this. So Sunning against Dominus. I believe Dominus managed to win one game. But Sunning was obviously the better team. FPX against E-Star. I'm pretty sure FPX won that one 2-0. Then we have... Yeah, so Sunning against Dominus was 2-1. E-Star against Fun Plus Phoenix was 2-0. Gen G against Solhewan Prince was a 2-0. I had that one right. Damwon Gaming against KT, I had that one right as well. I was kind of surprised by KT Rolster being like a high death team today, because I know that historically they haven't been a big loser, but also last season they didn't have a ton of losses, and the meta was slower last split. So I guess they may feel like they have to play the game differently right now, which helps contribute to that. For Gen G against Solhewan Prince, I really, really liked Solhewan Prince Gen G last night, because I knew that Mickey being the mid laner for SP means that it's going to be very, very volatile. So yeah, definitely loved Gen G. I liked Gen G a lot last night compared to what I normally would. But I didn't have Rascal in the lineup because Rascal has not been impressive for the most part as the top laner. Like he's not the player that's creating the advantage for his team most of the time. But I think, let me just check which champions he played. I'm not sure if it updated yet. 627. This only has one of the games up. So in game one, okay. So game one, Rascal played Ornn and had a ton of kills, which that doesn't happen very often. Yeah, so he played Ornn and Karma. So with Ornn, he actually did get a lot of kills, which is surprising for an Ornn, but he was up against a Mordekaiser, and like just in the team fights he was getting a bunch of kills, which kind of happens. Like if it's a disjointed team fight that gets fractured off into multiple little zones, like an Ornn will do pretty well in that scenario, but at the same time he's better off in like a more of a structured team fight where he can hit a bunch of people with his ultimate, kind of create pressure or disperse some of the pressure around his AD carry because he has such like high CC threat. And then Karma, all you do is you can shield your entire team with one like ult shield. So like you hit R and then you hit E, and that basically gives you assist credit as long as that champion doesn't leave combat. So not the traditional way to score a lot of points, but he scored a lot of points last night. Let me just give you the exact scoreline actually. So game one, he was 6-1-10. So he got the 10 assist bonus, and 6 kills for a top lane is very good, like on a carry champion. This was just an anomaly. Like, this almost never happens where you have an Ornn with 6 kills. It's not like he was the one carrying the game. I think he was, like, big the entire game and was definitely, like, impactful the entire game. But you can't project 6 kills for an Ornn, like, ever. And then in the second game, he was 2-1-16. So, like I said, he just has to do one ult shield, and he gets kill credit, or assist credit, on everything that happens in that team fight. Let me take a look at the other match. Damwon Gaming against KT. So game 1, they had 13 kills. Showmaker went 5-1-5. And then in the second game, Damwon Gaming had 23 kills, and Showmaker went 14-1-5 on Kassadin. So, you know, it's just, that's the kind of thing you can't really project, but you have to know that Showmaker has Kassadin in his pool. Kassadin is always more likely on red side, so if you want to get access to mid laners who might play Kassadin, I think looking for the red side teams, it's always an option, like, theoretically, because if they don't pick something that can punish it in lane, it's just basically a free like lottery ticket, because that's basically what Kassadin is. He's a lottery ticket. If the early game goes bad, you lose really hard. If the early game goes even, then you got a shot. If you win the early game like he did, I think you're just going to destroy them. Doinby also had a huge Kassadin game today. Just something to keep in mind. Every mid laner in professional League of Legends should be able to pick Kassadin and win. It's not a very difficult champion. It's just about getting to the stage of the game where you're powerful, which depends on your teammates a lot. So let's go to Europe. Europe, we had SK against Vitality. I was on SK. Vitality won. It was not a very interesting draft. I mean, potentially a gigantic mistake. They went Ornn, Volibear, Azir, Misfortune, Yuumi, and the other team managed to get Aphelios. So that means that SK Gaming was blue side and decided to pick something other than Aphelios first pick. So I think that it was probably a Volibear first pick, but I'm not going to go through the pick ban again. I just don't remember. I lost that one. Misfits against XL. This was a pretty easy one. Misfits was red side. Aphelios was banned by XL. So that's pretty stupid to me. Like, I do think that Aphelios is pretty overrated. Not overrated. Aphelios wins more than Aphelios should win, because teams should be able to figure out team compositions that can counter what Aphelios is good at, but teams just don't do that very well. So I'm surprised XL didn't say, like, okay, we're going to take Aphelios. They will get some other champion, and, you know, we give ourselves at least a 50-50 to win the game, just based off of champions, which is really all you can ask for an underdog. The next game was OG against Schalke. OG won that one pretty easily, I believe. Not surprised. Mad against Rogue. Mad Lions won that one. Again, not surprised. This might have been one of the games that I needed to check on my stream. I didn't end up doing it on stream last night. But I was I was pretty tired by the end of the night yesterday. Then we had G2 and Fnatic. This was another one that I had to check on my stream, which never really ended up happening. But I was on G2. So the reason is because I think they're the best team in Europe, obviously. They have been off to a pretty slow start. Perks is actually stepping away for next week, I think, which I think is probably a smart idea. I think that most people who have been paying attention recently will remember that his father passed away right before the first week of Europe, so he's been feeling a lot of stress, apparently. And, you know, that's very sad to hear. Great player. It's tough to deal with something like that. I haven't had to deal with losing a parent. I'm sure that's extremely difficult. So, like, I respect him for stepping away and kind of reevaluating things, and I also respect his team for supporting him in that decision. So I think that's pretty cool. That is, his team supported him in that. So in the EG versus TSM, I was on EG side. I lost that one. Okay, so first, 100 Thieves against CLG. CLG won. 100 Thieves was in a spot to win this game. Cody's son looked horrible. And there's a difference. Like I'm always pretty skeptical when people say like this player looked bad in a game, but just watching the game, Cody Sun was never able to stand where he needed to stand because of different threat ranges that were going on, and he just always seemed to be in the wrong spot. Never was able to get off the damage that he really needed to, and I think that kind of just speaks to CLG winning the draft. So when the like I was saying earlier about XL and Misfits, they weren't willing to pick Aphelios first overall because they were afraid the other team would like have plans against it. CLG appears to be a team that has a plan against Aphelios. This will probably give them a false sense of confidence in the future to give Aphelios to other teams, because they had like Malphite. Wait, no, I'm thinking of a different game. But Orianna. I know Orianna was in that game. So Orianna is a very good champion against immobile 80 carries, because if she lands her ultimate on them, she's going to basically one-shot them once she has like 3 items. So that just increases the difficulty that an Aphelios is going to have going around the map. But with that being said, 100 Thieves had like a 2,000 gold advantage in the early game. They made a few mistakes, lost their lead, and then they could just never regain their footing because Aphelios wasn't given the correct amount of support by his team. So I think it was both a failure on Cody Sun's part for not being able to play it correctly, and then also his team for not putting him in a situation to succeed. So yeah, that was a bad one. That's a bad loss in my opinion. I think that CLG right now they're 4-2. They're not a good team. I still think they're one of the worst teams in the major regions out there. I'm fine being against them moving forward. We're going to see some interesting lines, I'm sure, with CLG that we can take advantage of, hopefully. So then next up we have EG versus TSM. TSM managed to win this one. I wasn't extremely surprised. I just thought that EG is the better team. I like EG a lot. And TSM has had some horrible drafts recently, so TSM was able to pull this one out. It was pretty decisive as well. So Jizuke was on Karma, and they mentioned this on the broadcast, like, Jizuke is always playing like these carry champions and stuff, but I wonder how he would do on like Karma. And it's like, it's just really stupid for one of their analysts to be like, yeah, I wish he showed some like versatility on the other kinds of champions he was playing, because at the same time, it's like he has a good playstyle with the champions that he's good at. Why do you need one of your primary carries to be on Karma? Like, the reason somebody like Doinb can pull it off is because he's a very smart player, and he can play that more macro-oriented game, like, within a team fight. Jizuke is more of a split pusher, what I consider a selfish mid laner. Not selfish as in, like, some kind of like, morally reprehensible way, but, like, he is more focused on himself than the team. When you put him on the Karma, he needs to pay attention to everybody on his team to be optimal, and it's just a waste of talent. I don't think that Karma mid is a strong enough pick to take away one of your best players' best attributes, is basically what I'm getting at. So I do not think they will do that tomorrow. So I would expect a better team composition out of them tomorrow, is basically what I'm saying. Team Liquid against Dignitas. Team Liquid won that one. Freak went off about them, like about Dignitas, just saying like it was like a horrible play, like what are you doing, and like he was basically just like shit talking them on the cast, which I absolutely loved. I'm glad that they were more honest about how horrible it was. And then GG against Immortals. I was on GG because I think Immortals is the worst team in the world right now for the professional scene, and they beat GG today. So they had their academy roster come up to the professional scene, which is not. It's not really an academy roster. Xmithy, Apollo, and Hakuho are 3 veterans that are relatively good. They didn't play like extremely well the first week of academy, I think, because I bet on them and they lost. But they're 3. That means that they had at least 3 good players on their roster. So of course they're gonna have a chance as long as they play the early game well. So overall today I went 4-0 in LPL LCK. I went 4-1 in the LEC. I went 1-3 in Brazil, which is by far my worst week in Brazil. And then I went 1-3 in North America. So not great. compared to how I've been doing recently. All bets, I'm at 61%. I think that's accurate. Oh, and then Brazil. I didn't do Brazil. So Brazil, I had Pain Gaming against PRG. Pain Gaming are the Dallas Cowboys, so I pick against them almost all the time. I pick against them often. Kaboom against INTZ. I think that INTZ, the analysis that I had going into their last match was that they had not beaten anybody good. So I picked where was it? INTZ against Vivo Keed. I thought Vivo Keed was a live dog because INTZ hadn't beaten anybody good. If this Kaboom game happened before that last game, I probably wouldn't have picked Vivo Keed. So I am somewhat surprised that they were able to beat Kaboom. That's about it. Then we had Flamengo against Santos. I still think that Santos is the better team. I still think that Jackpot and Rainbow are the two best players in Brazil right now. And the reason I say that with maybe even more conviction after this game is because they were down a lot of gold. And they were still able to team fight on basically even footing like 30 minutes into the game. So what that tells me is that even at a deficit, they are very good at team fighting, which is going to be one of the easiest things to predict in the future. So like when we get into a meta that's even slower, where like teams are picking to like group up as 5 and contest Dragon or play around the 28-minute Dragon Soul or play around a Baron, I think that it's going to play into Santos' hand. So what's going to happen is Santos is going to start like leveraging the predictability of the other team's team compositions, pick things that are stronger early, build up a lead, and then never let them get to that point of the game, which is always a viable play style. And at the same time, if the game is relatively even, the way like the talent factor for Santos just means that they can fight at any point still. So I think they're going to be very scary in the future. I'm pretty big on them long term. Like I hope that they make Worlds. It would be so cool to watch Santos against all these other regions. I don't think that they would do very well at Worlds. Like I don't think that they would necessarily make it out of the group stage. But even just playing against like North American teams or European teams, I think they do have a realistic chance against those kinds of teams. So I guess technically they have a chance against anybody. It'd be very cool. I really want them to get that far. Vivo keyed against Furia. I had Furia and I won. So that's that for today. Let's go to tomorrow's games. So first up we have Vici Gaming and LNG. Vici Gaming has not looked good. Let's get their schedule. So we have Vici Gaming, LNG, and then JDG against Rogue Warriors. Let me get the rosters as well. Alright, so LNG is going back to Flandre. Chenlon17 is not playing. So it's Flandre, XX, Maple, Light, and Dwan against Cube, Leon, Zika, iBoy, and Hong. I think it's interesting. I think Zika is interesting. He's an unknown commodity right now, so I don't want to give... I don't want to get too excited about it, but when you have somebody like Koma saying, I want Zika playing over Forge, it is kind of... that is kind of a good thing, because he must be playing better in the scrims, or they might think like the season's over, screw it. So we won't know, but I prefer to have the charitable reading of that situation. Then we have JDG against Rogue Warriors. We have Zoom, Kanavi, Yagao, Loken, and Lumao against Holder, Haro, Ruby, Zwuji, and Shunyu. I think it's Shunyu, something like that. So Haro is playing again. I am a big fan of Haro. I do not think that JDG is the kind of team that is going to give up losses to Rogue Warriors. I would be somewhat afraid about playing JDG tomorrow because we've seen this in the past. I think it was actually the last time JDG played against Rogue Warriors. The game was really low scoring because Rogue Warriors and Haro fell behind. They weren't able to play aggressive. They weren't able to contest all the objectives, and they kind of just rolled over and died because they weren't able to find that good point in the match that they can take advantage of. So Vici Gaming against LNG. With the roster changes, it is really interesting. I think Flandre versus Chenlong17 is actually an upgrade talent-wise, but the thing I'm not sure about is what Flandre, what his champion pool is going to be like. Because with Chenlong17, we knew that he had like the AP top laners, and I'm sure that Flandre can play the AP top laners as well. He's a very versatile player, at least from what I remember from last split when he was actually playing. But we just don't have a lot of footage on him recently, so that does kind of concern me. He played Volibear yesterday, or the last time that they played against OMG, and OMG had a great counter pick lined up. They used Fiora, so I think that right now we're seeing a lot of players or a lot of teams in Europe and North America play Volibear in the top lane, but I think LPL specifically has a lot of picks ready to kind of counter that. So if you're blind picking Volibear, you're gonna have a bad time, I believe, in China. So if I was doing lane by lane, I would say I think that. Let's see. Do I like Cube's champion pool? Cube played Mordekaiser, Renekton, Wukong, Jace, Ornn. They've lost their last 3 matches, and they're still favorites over LNG. LNG lost to E-Star and OMG, but they beat RNG and FPX. I think that in the top lane, I'm willing to give the advantage to Flandre based off of historical information about Flandre. XX against Leon, I think that XX is probably the side that I'd want to be on because he definitely plays Graves and stuff like that. Leon is not a Graves player, I believe. At least he doesn't play it a lot on stage. Like, it's not his bread and butter. It's not his go-to style of champion. In the mid lane, we have Zika against Maple. I'm not a huge fan of Maple, so I'm just going to assume Zika is better than Maple. I think most mid laners in LNG or in the LPL are better than Maple. Then we have Light against iBoy. iBoy's been really underperforming. He's gotten a decent amount of Aphelios games and hasn't been able to convert those into victories. I'm not sure. I think that if the schedule is right, LNG should be blue side first game. So that means LNG is more likely to get Aphelios, and that's a situation that I want. So I think LNG is interesting tomorrow. The question mark is Zika. If Zika and Leon play well together and iBoy can like get the amount of resources that he needs, this would be like Koma's dream composition, or like dream roster. Not dream roster. It would be more in line with what he's used to having at his disposal to draft around. But it's unclear. We don't know what their roster is going to look like, so we do know that Flandre is most likely better than Cube. We know that XX has a better champion pool than Leon. Zika, I am assuming, is better than Maple because I don't like Maple. And then Light and Dwan against iBoy and Hong is pretty even. If anything, it's VG Gaming favored because there are a lot of people in China who expect a lot of iBoy, and you either have to say they're all wrong or give them the benefit of the doubt. So right now I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. Then we have JDG against Rogue Warriors. Like I said, I think that it's a pretty volatile matchup in the sense that it could be very high scoring or it could be very low scoring. JDG's an 89% favorite. I think you know which side I'm going to be on. Next up, we have Dragon X against the Freak of Freaks and T1 against Sandbox. T1 against Sandbox, I'm going to go over this game first because I'm afraid of substitutes. I think that T1 will only respect Sandbox as much as Sandbox makes T1 respect them. Going into this match, I expect T1 to put in some of their secondary players for at least one game. So I could see Elim potentially playing instead of Cuz. I could see Kuri playing instead of Effort. I could see Closer playing a game instead of Faker. Maybe Kana stays in every single game, and Teddy will probably stay in every single game. But those other spots, I could see them like trying to test out other players. which I don't like that idea from like a team building perspective, because not a lineup building perspective, a team building perspective, because Effort is a very young player, I think, and if you're already bringing in a potential player to take away his spot, I think that could be pretty mentally damaging. Like, I understand the competition aspect, and some people thrive under that competition and having somebody that they need to like beat and like keep them off the roster, but I just don't like it. I don't think it's the right way to go about uh, building a roster and building team continuity and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they have an extremely good culture there and everybody wants everybody to succeed and there's no fear of losing a job and all of that kind of stuff. But that's a lot to ask for a bunch of younger people in general. And I mean, even in traditional sports, you have some like mentally sensitive people who would be offended that they had some kind of substitute that might take their spot away. So that's what I would be concerned with T1. If you want to get access to the last game, but you are afraid of subs, I would say the team slot is a good spot to go, and I would say that Kana probably won't get taken out, and Teddy probably won't get taken out. I think I think jungle and support we know that those are sub risks. Excuse me. And for Faker, I think that Faker is a like mid lane is a spot that they might throw in a sub because Faker is not going to play League of Legends forever. Although that'd be very cool. Then the other matchup is Dragon X against the Freak of Freaks. I'm surprised the Freak of Freaks is plus 255. I think that they're definitely closer than 255. So there's definitely value on the Freak of Freaks side. I think that the sportsbook wants you to bet on a Freak of Freaks. But that might be the kind of spot where you just got to be like, screw it. There's a ton of value there. It's worth it. So let's take a look at the rosters real quick. Keen against Doran. I think Keen has the advantage. Spirit should be the jungler against Piosik. Piosik is the better player. Fly against Chovy. Chovy is definitely the better player. Mystic and Ben against Deft and Keria. Deft and Keria are definitely the better players. So they do have an advantage in the top lane. That is where I think they'd have to get some kind of counter pick. Not sure if Dragon X is going to like let that even be a possibility. Chovy's been very good. Deft has been very good. Keria has been very good this split. So it's tough to pick against them, but that's exactly why I think a Freak of Freaks is in a good spot tonight. Maybe instead of betting on the match, you can bet on individual games. So bet the first game and then bet the second game that they win one of the matches. And then game 3, I'd probably just assume that Dragon X wins. So that's really what I'd be looking for is game 1 or game 2 money line. And I don't know, maybe you can make sense of using them in a DraftKings lineup. Even if they go 1 and 2, you'd probably need Keen to go off. Spirit, I don't think that Spirit's a very good jungler right now. So Spirit's been the only one playing. He played Graves against T1. He had Nidalee games against Dynamics and T1. So I was right about that. I did remember him playing Nidalee back in the day. Nidalee is a good champion, but it's going to be tough to beat DRX with that one pick. Like, it might help you get an advantage, but Piosik plays a lot of Nidalee as well. So Nidalee is a contested pick. Piosik also plays Olaf with Yuumi, which is very good, and then plays the Graves, Lee Sin. So I think Piosik probably has like the perfect champion pool for this meta. It's very tough to bet against DRX. I could have swore they played a Ziggs game with Deft. Was that Gen G? Doesn't matter. Okay, so we're done with Korea. PNG against Flamengo. Let me get the rosters up on the screen. I guess I could do it like this, too. Pain Gaming against I'll do it like this. Pain Gaming against Flamengo. Bankai had a really good game today against Jackpot. I don't think he's a better player, but he had a good game. Ranger, I don't think is really a jungler that I'm very afraid of. It's Pain and Flamengo. This is tough because these are two teams that I will be looking to bet against in the future for different reasons. So we don't have the information from today. Yeah, we just don't have that information yet. Okay, so Bankai, Ranger, Goku, Lushka. Lushka's not playing. It's B-Voy and Reven, I think, is the one who played today. No, I think it was Lucy that played today, actually. Wait, who was it today? It doesn't really matter. I'm just curious at this point. Santos.
Pixibans então se aproximando do jogo de
It was
número
Lucy.
3,
So it was
Flamengo
Bankai,
azul.
Ranger, Goku, B-Voy, and Lucy. My nose is itchy. So Pain Gaming, the Dallas Cowboys. As a slight favorite over Flamengo, I'm probably going to be leaning Flamengo because now, like, I just think of Pain Gaming as the Dallas Cowboys, and that makes me want to bet against them every single time. Santos against Vivo Kid. Santos is my favorite team in Brazil. I think you know what side that I'm going to pick to win. There's probably value on Vivo Kid. I think that's probably the right side to bet, but I'm not going to pick against Santos on my sheet, give myself a loss, second guess myself, and then I'm not dealing with that. I'm not doing that. Plus 292 is probably good value. You might even be able to get a better number as time goes on. INTZ against Furia. So INTZ is a team that I'm low on. Furia is coming off of a win. I don't think that they're a very good team. I don't think either of these teams are very good right now, to be honest. But that's not a lot of value on Furia. It's a toss-up. I don't really have a good opinion on that game at all, to be honest. Kaboom against Prodigy. So Kaboom is an interesting team overall. I think that they're pretty good. But FNB is a difference maker in the top lane. He plays stuff like Lucian. I think that's a very good champion right now. Garo and Whoosh. I love saying Whoosh. I think I'd probably just take the value on Prodigy. Prodigy is 1-6. Ugh. Wait, Prodigy and Kaboom. Huh. That's a tough one. Kaboom just lost. And Kaboom lost and Prodigy both lost. Kaboom has beaten Furia. They already beat Prodigy. And they beat Vivo Kid. So they haven't beaten anybody that's very good. Prodigy has beaten Furia and then lost to everybody else. So the Furia one doesn't really matter. They haven't been good for a while. That's a tough one. I do like FNB. FNB has big upside. So I think there are actually CB law slates tomorrow for DraftKings. So if you do end up playing Prodigy, I would recommend playing FNB. Like, very volatile. He could get destroyed, but if he gets a Lucian game, then you could be making a lot of money. Then we have the LCS. So 100 Thieves lost to CLG today. Tomorrow they're taking on TSM. TSM's minus 185. There might actually still be value on TSM's side in this spot. So I don't love betting minus 185. But maybe that's a good maybe it's a good parlay spot. Cloud9 against Immortals. I think it'd be hilarious if Immortals was able to beat C9 after firing their coach, firing their general manager, and then beating C9. That'd be so funny. But it seems very unlikely, and that's why the sportsbook has it at 95% for C9. FlyQuest against Golden Guardians. Man, I just want to be on Golden Guardians when they win. I feel like they're not as bad as they've been playing so far this split. FlyQuest, so it'd be Haunter against Solo. I could see Haunter winning that matchup. It's Closer against Santorin. I could see Santorin winning that. Or Closer against Santorin. I could see Closer winning that. Demonte against Power of Evil. That's a pretty big question mark because the Orianna meta is kind of happening right now, and Power of Evil is one of the best Orianna players in the world, in my opinion. Then we have the bot lane, which is FBI and Huhi against MASH and Ignar. And I love Ignar's champion pool. I like that they play Pantheon and stuff like that. He didn't look good on it, but he's a good player. I'm sure he'll figure it out, and that is pretty interesting. I think it's definitely a closer match than 74-33, so I would probably want to put a value bet in on Golden Guardians. Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Last match, EG against Dignitas. I think EG is one of the best teams in North America, and I think EG would be pretty good against most teams in Europe as well. So I'm pretty big on EG in general. And Freak is very low on Dignitas, so I'm going to be on Freak's side for that one. So that's basically it. Went a little long, but it's a lot of games to go over. So too bad. You kind of just have to deal with it. Thanks for watching. If you want to help support the channel, please check out Patreon. Once you sign up for Patreon, you get access to Discord. When you have access to Discord, you can talk to everybody that's in the community about the slates that are coming up. A lot of people are watching the games and like discuss what's going on with their lineups in Discord, which is pretty cool. It's very active. I always post in my Discord when I'm doing like a live stream or something like that. So if you want to see me while I live stream, I usually like play 1 or 2 games and then like look at the sheet. And I also like play ARAMs with viewers and stuff like that. So make sure to check that out. And that's about it. Oh, last thing is when you watch Esports Center from now on, please let me know which highlights you like the best, because I want to put together a highlight video within the next week or so for like the top 5 or 10 plays for the split so far. Like I'll do it on one of the days that it's only LPL LCK. So thanks again for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.